Hey guys, so I just wanted today I don't have much going on. I do have my scope set up. I have a timing chain to do next day. Aaron's mom's Nissan Juke, it's actually chewing through the front cover. So we got a new front cover from actually Japan. It's YoshiParts.com. So it's about $400 cheaper than getting it off a US shipper. But that's a pretty good place. I mean, his prices are really good on, you know, stuff that he could get in that area. He has a good list. Nissan's on there, Toyota's on there. There's a couple, you know, Asian car manufacturers. Shipping takes a lot longer, but it was only like $20-some for a front cover to be shipped, and the front cover was I think $225. $650 is the best I could have got from US on Amazon. I think there was a couple for $450, but you know, or go with a used one that's the same as this one from Yoshi. We just had to wait a little bit, but now we got it. But my buddy Dan, he dropped off a weed whacker, and it's a 4-stroke. It only had a problem with the priming bulb, so I fixed it pretty quick. I mean, it says press it 10 times. Don't start with 10 times. It tries, but if you pump it 15 times, it starts beautifully. So, but while I still have my scope out from yesterday. Didn't really clean nothing up. This thing's super easy to pull. I started it actually sitting on the bench right here. I've never done it. I know they're a little bit different inside. Like on a small engine, your valves aren't exactly in the same position they are in an automotive engine. But I believe this is the right adapter that I could adapt. This is from actually a compression gauge. I believe the threads, they're very small, smaller than average small engines. This is a Craftsman. But what I'm going to do is put my pressure transducer right down there. And this is so easy. I mean, it should be a rigid pipe on there. This is so easy to pull. I could pull it right here. And we're going to see what kind of, you know, pattern we get. I don't know what to expect. But after today, we're going to know what the in-cylinder pressure test on the Craftsman weed eater looks like. All right, for those of you who are around, this would be the JH-APT 100. It's a clone of the Pico. It has 3 ranges on it for the compression. And the equipment that it comes with, the hose end wasn't very good. You might have seen the video I made making the adapters or piecing together the adapters, really. These aren't a very high quality. It did work. I mean, I had no trouble with it, but it's just how many times these things are going to work, what comes with it. The tube that comes with it's like, you know, aluminum. It's not very heavy duty, but I'm sure it would do the job. But I got a Rotkey hose, and they got very beefy ends on them. And I made an adapter, got different pieces. This was actually from a kit to blow air into the cylinder, so you could change the valve spring retainers. You know, so that came in very good from Napa, and it fits into the Rotkey hose, and that's a very heavy duty hose. It's actually brake line, but it got very heavy ends on it. So I got that, and I actually, instead of using that cheap pipe, I got 2 of the Rotkey pipes. There's this one, and then there's a longer one. I might have to use the longer one to clear that hole, but the threads are the same. So what I'm going to do is put this into that adapter, put it right down that hole, and I'll be able to, I'll have to take this out of there, and I'll be able to just quick connect the transducer, get away from him. All right, guys, I don't know why I'm doing this. I mean, there's no reason there. I mean, there's not even anything wrong with this weed whacker, but what the hell? I just wanted to see how quick I could hook up the other things. And yes, I have thought about what a 2-stroke looks like. I mean, it you know, you could almost think it's just all peaks, but I don't know until you see with your own eyes. I think it's there's gonna be one coming with a chainsaw, and there's definitely, I mean, there's a Harley under them sheets over there, and there's like this alley. There's, you know, probably 5-6 Harleys in the alley that would, you know, I'm friends with the owner, and they're not going to mind me taking a spark plug out. But the question is, I mean, are they any different than automotive, what we're looking at? If they're a 4-stroke, they all look the same. Do some have their own signatures? I'm sure where the valve opens, if you had a different degree cam, there might be some differences. I mean, I don't know. But I'm telling you, we're going to find out. Anything with a motor that I got an adapter for, I'm going to put this in just to see how quick. Now, I was going to hook it up to the Modus because I haven't used it with the Modus yet, but I figure if I was out in the field or if I wasn't home, I'm not going to be too tempted to take out the Modus, hook up the scope, do everything just to check a weed whacker. But with this, I mean, this is on my Android tablet. I could do this on my Android phone too with that little scope. And it's, you know, you have H-scope with you if you have an Android phone. You guys have got Apples on it, I'm sorry. But, you know, you can pick up an Android tablet cheap, an Android phone, and use it just for this task if you don't like it for anything else. But you have to have an Android. Now, this goes through, I mean, the cable that comes with it, the BNC, it's just, now remember, these are the males. The ones that go over the other one are the males when it comes to BNC because of the inside. You know, everything else you're going to get fooled. I ordered the wrong adapters, so, but I got the right ones now and we're good to go. But this cable's only, I mean, didn't actually measure, but you get a very short cable with this kit. But when I ordered the scope, the HS512, I ordered a longer one from Martin Loren. I'm not really sure on how to say that, but the guy makes some great software and some great products. Right now we're using his extra long BNC cable, and I got an adapter from him to connect to. But my whole idea is I don't want these electronics under the hood. You know, it's bad enough you're taking your camera under there, you're looking things up, you're recording things. Camera's in a dangerous place. You have all these things with wires attached to them. Might pull it off the cart or something, but you know, it's not going to get into a fan or anything like that. Lay on a manifold, I mean, you never know. And I mean, this one got a cracked screen. You don't even need anything really good to run H-scope. It still works fine. You know, I like it. But what I did is I put the transducer in. It worked fine. I was instinctively, I thought the longer one was going to have to be used. But the video on, if you go to Rocky.com, I believe that is Eugene, the guy working on the cars. There's videos for almost everything. And for their version of the transducer, this isn't their version. This is a Chinese clone. But their pressure transducer, he tells you keep the pipes rigid, keep the pipe as short as possible, and don't instinctively go for the hose. We're not doing compression. We want as good of a good, because I'm just pulling this with my hand. This isn't even a starter, so we're relying on the compression not being distorted and being a straight shot. So it goes right into my quick connect, right up to the transducer, and we're going straight into H-scope. I got it on the oscilloscope mode, not knowing what to really expect, so I'm just leaving it on where it opens. I'm going to turn on the transducer. Then we can see we're on the red range right now. And then what I'm going to do, we should have something on. See, just from me bumping it made something where it coming alive. But what we're going to do is there's a 0 button on it. We're going to 0 it out. So it's done calibrating. It's saying that's where the 0 mark is. These things really aren't though. I'll see it did something down here and I'm not sure if it's back down to 0. But on the H-scope, we're going to 0 that out. We're going to make sure we start from 0. All right, guys, I'm going to put this on a tripod so I can pull the weed whacker. All right, guys, I have it set up. I put the 0'd out the transducer. Now, this is just the oscilloscope. Now, what I already had a preset in here that you could download for free. They come with H-scope. You just have to download if it's not the common probes. Somebody has already made a probe for or a setting for the probe what you want to use. I found a 500 psi transducer, which that's the scale this is on. So I just put it on that. You don't need a lot of sampling rate because we don't want it to get too blocky. So I have it on like a low. I have it on 4. And I have a 20 millisecond because it's I watched some of that. The one guy on Motor Age, he always says you always start with a 20/20. It's his rule of starting with a scope. It's pretty accurate. If you start with 20, you're going to see something. If you want it bigger, you want it smaller, you adjust your time scale. With 8 scope, we could just pinch. That's what makes this so nice. This seems like if you were carrying it to check a weed whacker, I mean, you're going to have your tablet more than you're going to want to break out your card, automotive scanner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull the ripcord to get it started and see if we get a pattern on the screen. So we do, and it looks awful familiar. Now, that's how I usually set up 8 scope. I stay in up top. This is just the oscilloscope module. This screen keeps moving. It's not recording anything more than the screen. Well, you got a buffer down here. You can scroll. It does record some, but this is just to set it up. Usually what you see, you can see it sweeping. That's going to change. If you have a pattern on the screen, you better pause it because that's going to just keep rolling. Now what I'm going to do, now that we know the settings, then I go to the automotive module. And this is where you get another chance, and you might even want to record, like if you zero out these cheaper transducers, if it's off, just remember, write down how much it's off. If it's off 4 psi, just can't remember. You have to add, you have to subtract. But a lot of times you can't get the cheaper ones to zero out, or so I've heard. But I'm going to hit record. Everything looked like it stays the same. We on 16-volt scale. The HS512, this thing, this ought to be its native habitat. Okay, we have 2 channels on it. We want to shut channel 2 off. Okay, now we just have 1 channel on. Now we're going to want to record. It's already zeroed out, but if it was off, all you have to do is hit that button, it'll re-zero it. So you have 2 ways of zeroing actually on a transducer. Then you could zero out on 8 scope too. But like I'm saying, the first difference, just write it down. I've seen a couple videos where they're having that problem, so you just got to do a little bit of math at the end. Now, once I hit start, I could record. We could record this for 1 hour and 48 minutes, but there ain't no way I'm pulling this thing out. We're going to get a couple on there so we could just stop and look. And this is just a very light pull. All right, let's stop that. All right, let me power down the transducer and all right. Those were the light pulls. Then we could see over here, we could adjust, we could bring it down. Yeah, nice scale. Sometimes my fingers are too callous, they just, well, it's listening up and down. There we go. It's like that Bruce Willis movie when he can't get the self-washing sink to give him any water. Sometimes I feel like my fingers just don't work on touch screens, but there we have it. It's very familiar. Well, using 500-pound transducer preset we have on the side here. This, our scale, this is in PSI. So that weed whacker, me pulling on it, you could see exactly, I mean, it's an oscilloscope. I was just getting ready to say about 15. But I mean, what's the point of having measuring equipment if you're going to just 14.54. I mean, that's the hardest, that's the first pull. And then we could see it declines. I don't know, I'm not too sure. People look for, I mean, burnt valves or something going on where in a weed whacker. I mean, you know, lawnmowers, small engines are usually simpler to diagnose. But I mean, if you had to, I mean, if you were looking for something, sure looks like an automotive one. And then this is just first capture. And on H-scope, you could go in, you could put a filter on it, put a low pass. The low pass filter, we could see how that cleaned it up. Then somebody on here actually left a comment to go down to 33 hertz, and it does a hell of a job of cleaning up. But see, we did lose a little bit of amplitude, so we're going to go back to the 1000. On some waveforms it doesn't affect it at all. I always try. Maybe it's amperage, I'm not sure, but you see how our peaks went back up. They went high whenever I took off the 33, so apparently it's clipping the tips. But just having the regular at 1000 hertz, I mean, it really cleans up. And you could, if you want to go down on your voltage, if you want to see, like if you're comparing anything like this, the pattern on something on the internet, there's a lot of good classes out there. Like I say, Motor Age, I mean literally tons. Mechanic Mindset, Scanner Danner, I mean, there's that Jarhead Diagnostics, tons of people out there using these. And DJ Mobile, he was actually the one that, watching his, he used this transducer and H-scope, and I was sold as soon as I seen what it could do. And then he's actually working on a car in the field. I mean, whenever you play around with H-scope, you really get to know some of the features. There's a community, and what I like about YouTube, like people know how to use this. When I make a mistake, you know, they let me know. They let me know an easier way. There was things I couldn't find that, you know, I needed input. That's what I like about the video. If you see me doing something wrong, you know an easier way, you tell me, because I'm going to do it. You know, no matter where we are in the world, we all got the same tools, where that's what we're going after. And you know, you could help somebody across the world if they have good enough, you know, data they could share with you. Yeah. Nope. I'm going to save that. I'm not going to bother to name it right now, but you could name it right there if you wanted to. I'm going to save that, you know, but later I'll name it. You know, you could pull this up and you could review your data on your Android tablet anywhere, waiting for a bus, whatever you're doing. I mean, you could play with your waveform. Like, just move it, check it, you could measure it later. But everything on here is so far from, like, all I've done is watch other videos and, you know, did a little bit of reading. I haven't gotten to it 100%, but the way there's like a pocket down here does seem to look right. Like, and this is the vacuum, I imagine, is the intake or the exhaust valve opens. So there's things you could look for. There's all different points on here. You don't have to do it live while you're at the car. If you have something else to do on the car and there's something else you were diagnosing, you go do the other thing. Later on, while you're sitting around, you know, instead of getting on social media and letting it rot your brain, you can pull up your waveform, start doing some measurements. It's a great little tool. You can do it with the Modus too, but I don't know if I'd want to be, you know, be laying in bed with that on top of me or something, you know, just to look at my waveform. I would go in between. All right, guys, thanks for watching. It's nothing special. It's a, you know, a transducer pattern that we were expecting to see. But no, like I was saying, I just wanted to show you under the settings in here. Like, I have my channel 2 purple. You could pick the lines. You could pick the, you know, the thickness of your line. If you want a thin line, and then if you didn't like, if you wanted to use, I don't know, if you wanted to use yellow, and then we'll hit OK, and then have it on a thinner line, and then you could change your background color. You could turn it white. You could now where is that? That's a line thickness, graphic quality, oscilloscope crank. If you like the white, you have several options. I just hope my same waveform's still there. Nope, but we could pull it up. Either that or it's so yellow we can't see. Yellow might not be the one we want for that color. It's easy to change. We'll go to something. We'll go to dark blue. And see. It's more looking like a Pico capture this way if you like the white background, the very thin lines. But you can make them lines any thickness. And you could get as much detail as you want. I like mine a little bit thicker. You know, it's easier to see, especially from a distance, but there's a lot of options in your hands. You know, you think you're getting under $100 scope, but you're really getting so much more. If you go for other options that have their own platform and you can't make this many adjustments on it, you're kind of stuck. But so far, still loving this, man. Keep it up. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the experiment. But if you ever wondered, that's what a transducer and a weed whacker looks like.